Begin with the discussion of the movie Rampage 2009.
It's not the Rampage I thought it was gonna be at all. It's not the Rampage. I mean, I know it was gonna be that one, but I didn't know this fucking movie existed. This is awful, bro.
I want you guys to understand as well. This is a franchise. This is
a franchise. There's more of this fucking movie.
Yeah, there's multiple films.
Are they all about the white man setting up his friends?
Yeah, I don't really mind. I don't mind starting off. So like I feel like in the beginning of the film, like the director or whoever, not whoever, the directors, like showing us what the protagonist. Keep in mind, this character we're watching is the protagonist in the film, so to be aware of that.
Is he? I thought he was the fucking antagonist for sure.
No, you follow him throughout the movie.
Yeah, well, we follow him throughout the film.
Center of the movie.
You know what he wants, which is control. You know, because he says it. He says it in so many subtle ways. The coffee, like just wanting exactly what he speaks out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to like hog the mic. I think we should all jump in. Like,
no, man, go ahead. So say what you got to say. I'm listening. I think it's important to hear.
Yeah, and the film quickly introduces us to like his hierarchical way of thinking, considering he calls himself the best worker at the mechanic.
At the auto shop, yeah.
Yeah. So we get a glimpse. This film, throughout the film, we're seeing these flashbacks of like the violence that he caused and what he's planning on doing and how he's gonna do it. So
right.
we're truly being shown like his own alienation, because he's clearly detached from his family, clearly detached from his friend. Like that conversation at the chicken shop, when they're both talking about their views, like no one's listening to each other. They're both kind of just spewing out their own white philosophy and white ideology. You know, one's talking about, you know, people need to be like less superficial. He's talking about people need to just have a more survival of the fittest mentality. But yeah, I mean, that's what I'll say for now. I'll hop in and out.
I noticed a lot of mention of population control.
Oh yeah,
is a white supremacist euphemism for killing undesirables, killing non-white
people.
Yeah, killing throwaway, quote unquote throwaway races, and that's mentioned throughout the film. And I've heard a lot of confused people.
It's a theme of the film.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of confused people support the idea that the planet is running out of resources because of quote unquote the population is getting too big. But best believe if the white supremacists wanted to manage the resources in a sustainable way, they could. They just don't care about that. All they care about is what this movie portrays, which is killing people and having fun doing it. Control, killing people, and having fun doing it. It's glorified. We see the white supremacist mentality is this film. It's, you know, it's notice how well planned he was. Notice how like he was well planned. This is how the system. It's a well planned system, and a very like it gets the job done. He succeeds at his plan of rampaging. Is a very successful white supremacist rampage.
Yeah, I paid attention to that as well. I put down the layout is not manic, well organized, how the guns were all lined up on the bed. He has like a rational disposition to his madness, which represents white supremacy so well. They rationalize just within their mind of how they're treated exactly, exactly their morals, and it would seem sane to anybody who's completely sane, but he's doing the most irrational things. Like even as he's having a conversation with his mother, he's having flashes in his mind of murdering the police officers. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah, and a lot of indicators of more just white supremacist agendas. I heard the mention of Middle East, which is another white supremacist experiment where we have people who are not white being displaced and destroyed. Oh, a religion. During that same rhetoric, we hear like some preacher spewing some kind of sermon, which perpetuates the whole, Christianity or religion, like perpetuating Black death and the destruction of non-white people. You didn't else catch that? The sermon.
Oh, I did not.
I heard the the speech regarding religion and shit, but I didn't think about it that deeply.
Yeah. That's all you need to hear. That's all you need to know is that it's religion. It's like that's all you need to really.
Problematic enough in its own way.
Is that the same one that mentions shame and rage being accompanying each other?
Oh, I wrote that down. Yes, that's the subconscious of like white supremacy, like hostility and aggression, shame and aggression, like that. Yeah, I also wrote that down.
What was this? I did. Oh yeah, in the end of the film when he's talking into the camera, he does mention like kill people in the third world.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
You might hear that.
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah. So I mean that is what when you have so many instances of like people going into Africa and then people in Africa dying across multiple countries in Africa because of either like poisoning people's water wells, poisoning people by giving them false vaccines, creating plagues. Like population control is in full effect. I personally believe. I have to speak for a person though. I can speak for everyone in the group, but I definitely believe population control is highly being practiced inside brown countries, Black countries, and yellow countries, such as Africa, the Middle East, and all parts of India. What else I want to say? The film really showcases a white supremacist mindset without mentioning race. A very like colorblind film, but it can't be because it's a white man's perspective and how he sees the world. It's a lot.
Yeah. All those talking points that these that the characters are spewing would be the same talking points that like the so-called like alt-right, which is just a new word for white supremacy and white supremacists. So these are the same talking points that they would spew, I don't. It's a movie from 2009 as well, so it's still very relevant today.
Yeah, in that part, he says people from third world countries and cancer patients and anyone sucking resources.
Yeah.
He literally sees people from the third world as the same as cancerous people that are like people who have cancer that are taking resources and worthless in a sense. Like everything is hierarchical to him. It's pretty wow.
I know the number of victims was 93.
Well,
the official number was 93. Nothing comes to mind besides the United 93 so-called airline that caused that was a plane used in 9/11 terrorist attacks by white supremacists.
You think that number 93 is supposed to be subliminal?
It could be. It could be a subconscious reminder that we have to defend our land from the non-whites. Remember 9/11? That it could be.
That would be a pretty subtle way to try to say some shit like that. Because I didn't catch that. I would have not even looked for that shit. I would have, that's not something I was trying to pick up on.
All right, I'm back now. Are you guys still talking about the movie?
Indeed.
I still want to know why I don't know if you guys talked about it yet, but I've been kind of moving around a lot. I want to know why that he didn't kill the elderly people.
Yeah, I wrote that in the chat. Yeah, what was that about? Why didn't he murder the elderly people at bingo?
Well, I just get that as he sees these people as like already like dead, in a way. Like he sees them as already like dead or docile enough because they're under control of like, you know, this bingo game or whatever.
If I take the role as a leader, something switches in my brain and it's like I have to like, oh.
What?
Or if I'm the follower,
Can't hear you.
I think your mind is differently
Is she in the meeting?
I don't like. Technically,
I cannot hear you. You're breaking up really
sometimes
badly.
you're the follower.
Ezekiel, is Ray talking to us or?
Yeah, she's talking to us. What's going on, Ezekiel?
There's times where
Oh,
you're
sorry.
in the following.
Sorry. My fault. She was in a meeting. I was grabbing something. My bad.
I was what the fuck?
I had my headphones on. I didn't realize you guys were picking that up. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought that was a real huge contradiction because if you're thinking about like the people who are taking the most natural resources, wouldn't they be
elderly
people who
are literally
retired, not working, and just like at a bingo game using up resources since they're already too old? So I'm like, why didn't he kill them? I think it goes.
I think they're trying to show that he has compassion or something.
Care about his ideology. He just wants.
It shows the hypocrisy.
It doesn't matter. It's just a contradiction. Like
it's the hypocrisy and his logic. It's the hypocrisy in this entire system of racism and white supremacy. And we have to understand that the system of white supremacy is built on hypocrisy. So I think that's a good way to understand that scene as well. While having to understand why that character didn't kill those people, we just need to remember and always remember that the system was hypocritical, you know.
But also, like, I don't think he believed anything he said because when he's like in the beginning talking to his friend, he copied everything that his friend said from that video into his video.
Yeah.
And when he's arguing with his friend, he doesn't really have any opinions about anything. It's his friend who has a lot of the opinions. I mean, he's reading like Charles Darwin and stuff, which I peeped that. But I literally think he just copied whatever his friend believed as an excuse to like kill people.
Yeah.
I don't think he like had any like strong ideology at all.
But I also don't think he needed any motivation. He just wanted to murder indiscriminately. That's something that he wanted to do because he wanted to maintain some sort of power.
Yeah.
Like
use that as his excuse.
Yeah, I think he's just a really well-refined white supremacist.
Yeah, those like the white supremacists like will harm people and then make it seem like it benefits them or like is society or like they're altruistic. They're doing it for the greater good or something. So I'm guessing that was like.
Also, I think that white supremacy itself, you know, there's been a hierarchy among white supremacists because. The fact that he murdered his friend, you know what I'm saying? I thought that was really fucking odd. But the way that happened kind of tripped me out because I thought that he was going to end up leading the police to kill his friend. I didn't think that he was going to be the one to set that whole scene in motion like that. That shit threw me off a lot. And I also wanted to talk about the part where he was at the hair salon and he fucking took the mask off. And then he came back and killed those women. I want to know the thought process behind that. Maybe like if you guys can give me like some context. Like
that reminded me of Elliot Rodgers, that scene, because of if you understand Elliot Rodgers as also a white supremacist who hated women and hated his non-white genetic information. That's why he eventually went and did his killing spree, and he mostly sought to harm women in that. But that thing just reminded me of that. It's probably not answering your question, but
I guess it's not a question that can be answered. But I just kind of like want to know, like, what do you think that's supposed to represent?
White men hate white women.
I have something. I do want to go back, so I didn't get to speak on it. I do think he spared the people. Well, not spared. He didn't kill the people in the bingo place because they were like unaware. You know, like he didn't see them as sheep basically, and like kind of not in the race of like life. They're like being controlled by the system, this game of numbers and chance.
Mm-hmm.
So it was supposed to. It was trying to be symbolic, you know.
Like not competition in any way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, I still feel like that's definitely contradictory. Like I'm starting to agree with Ash. Like maybe he don't believe none of this shit he's talking about because he's talking about, you know, these people are taking resources and X Y Z, but the elderly, you know, I'm not, you know, advocating for, you know, genocide for elderly people, obviously, but like the elderly use a lot of fucking resources. So what, you know what I'm saying? What is the difference between the elderly and then somebody who's sick or somebody who's, you know, a non-white person who he feels like is using up the resources? Because they use up the resources just the same, if not more.
I want to add to that. I definitely believe, I see it as a contradiction, but it also showcases that elderly don't really participate in society. And what his friend had like bounced back to him when they were having two different conversations was that there are levers and there's takers, and the levers coexist, and very much those the elderly were just coexisting. They're just like in that space, whereas the takers and the drivers in society are the people who tell him no, the people who don't respect him spaces, and those are the ones who he basically put a rampage on. He could sit down, he could eat, he put his guns on the table, nobody cared. So it's like, I could there's just coexisting going here. So I believe that that's why they weren't worth killing.
Yeah, even the guy who gave him the fucking food was super like very casual, like not even tripping. Like if I saw that fucking guy, I was like, holy shit, like what the fuck? Like
I think no matter what was happening, his programming was so strong that even after this man with full body armor and 2 automatic machine weapons, he still says, thanks for coming to the, he still says the script.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's interesting.
Yeah. Good observation. Yeah, and the women, like going back to like the women in the beauty salon getting slaughtered, I think that was like more of like a domination type thing, like fear and domination, like torturing them, you know, by first of all
playing with him.
Yeah, playing with him. Like that's how I interpreted that as. I interpreted that as just like sadistic pleasure, because sadistic pleasure is encompassed when you really, really go in depth into what white supremacy is and how white supremacy has all these niche operations that are sustained through like torture, violence, and oppression. Yeah,
all around subjugation of people.
I think also like, oh sorry, Trey.
No, I was finishing on it. Control and fear. You know.
I feel like white women or women, you know, produce offspring. If he cares about population and all this garbage, then, you know, why not kill the bearers of the next generation that you don't want to like exist on this planet anyway? On top of the fact that like I know Dr.Frances Cress Welsing talks about how like white men don't like white women because they produce like non-white children and things like that too. So in general, plus like there was a shooting like that where there was a bunch of like there was a classroom and a guy, it was like in Canada, and he went into the classroom and he told all the men to leave and then he killed all the women. So I think white men just really hate white women for those things because they give birth to, and having the ability to, you know, change the population, that's something that they don't have that control, and they resent white women for it.
Yeah, white women have the capacity to further white genetic annihilation because they can produce melanated babies through melanated people, which is why white men hate white women.
That's interesting, man.
Yeah.
That's very fucking interesting.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then white men, like, for the sake of the argument, hate all women, period. Like, because all women are able to produce melanated children.
Yeah, it's
but it's different.
It's a different kind of hate. It's like
you're a traitor type.
Yeah, it's like a race traitor.
Race traitor type.
Exactly.
That's why they always call them the N-word lovers. You know.
Yeah.
I'm definitely learning some new stuff right now.
Yeah, like Dr. Cress Welsing says that you know, the white woman has made it clear that the preferred type is a person who's tall, dark, and handsome.
Yeah. What else? There's definitely a lot to unpack in this movie. Throughout the movie, we see misogyny and like the mistreatment of women, like how he talks to the woman at the chicken store, how the woman at the beauty salon is treated, how the husband tells his dad. I mean, I'm sorry, how the husband tells the wife like when's dinner gonna be ready. Yeah, like nuclear white Anglo-Saxon presenting family. I kind of want to get into the more like symbolic stuff. Like, how do you guys feel about his black suit of death? You know?
Yeah, I picked up on how like armor is always like dark colored because that's been programmed to be an intimidating color.
It's fear inducing.
And also on another subconscious level, in a conscious level, it empowers the wearer. They feel like, I have this black. I finally have my black skin, my black suit, my black skin. You know, I feel empowered now, even if it's temporary. You know.
I also feel like like this whole movie, like subconsciously, like is actually like how white people perceive white genetic annihilation. Because there's this black entity, this black thing. Like I wrote black slob of death in this town, killing indiscriminately. Like for the majority, we see white people murdered throughout the whole film, and you see a lot of shots from behind the character, so we don't see his white face. We see like this white like figure. I'm sorry, we see this black figure running through the streets with 2 machine guns, obliterating people, and that's what the fear of white genetic annihilation looks like. It looks like, you know, just black penises making too many black babies, you know, and then the world is more melanated. How does that? Do you guys see any of that symbolism? Does that resonate?
That resonates well.
Yeah. Like,
I didn't think that critically about that, but that's very fucking interesting. Yeah. That you said that. I think that's something I never really considered, honestly, while watching that movie.
It's like you gotta think that color means a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I understand that black is like associated with a lot of negative connotation, like mostly like black, dark, you know, etc. It's just usually like related to negative feelings or emotions from white people generally.
Yep.
That's true, but however, he removed his mask in the salon with the women, and I just I took that to mean that he maybe now felt some kind of confidence after going on a bit of a rampage and regaining some of the power that he otherwise usually feels inadequate, and took a moment to just basically present himself to them and just take in that energy of the, and saying words like blondie, pretty, beautiful, very short lingo in there, and those all were included.
Yeah, that was really weird to me how he kept saying that shit to them. He kept saying like
it's like
as insulting.
Like subconscious, are you saying like, do you want me now? Like, do you want me?
It was like people like, do you like me now? I'm powerful.
Now that I have power, yeah.
But I also think he took his mask off because kind of to ensure that they would die. Like he could rise.
Yeah, that was his excuse. Yeah, he said, "I have to kill you now because you saw me." Right?
Now I have to murder them with this on my face. You know, like
that's how he justified that shit for himself. Wow, that was fucking ridiculous.
Keep in mind, white supremacy gives non-whites a sense of hope. That's why we have celebrities who are racially showcased, and that even if it's not said directly, him leaving this salon gave them hope, and him coming back to murder them is like how white supremacy works. Yeah, you can get whatever you want in a time being, but like it can destroy you quite easily, and we've seen that happen to a lot of people.
Yeah, like your femininity won't save you, your beauty won't save you. Yeah.
I thought it was super interesting when he was at the bank and he was like demeaning that man for showing fear and emotion while he's like completely clad in like all of this like armor where he's like impenetrable. And it's like this whole, it's just like so interesting to see like he's almost like disgusted when people show emotion or care in any way. Like and I thought that was interesting because it was like when that white man wasn't being masculine and detached, he like was so disgusted by him. So
You also kept him alive, which showed that he maybe enjoyed it to a certain degree. He kept 2 people alive in there, or
yeah, I think
he mentioned that he wouldn't kill the other guy, and I was like, why don't you want to kill this gatekeeper? Because he has access to the safe. Like, I don't know.
He also didn't kill that black woman either. There was a woman hiding behind the whatever the fuck, wherever they were at the cashier's desk, wherever. He didn't kill her, and I don't know if that was like intentional or something, but I noticed that he didn't kill her.
I think this movie showcases white supremacy as its true form, which is like a business.
Violent.
Because at the end of it, like only thing that mattered was white man and his money, and that's white supremacy. Like all that matters is the white man. Make sure the white man has the control, the power, and white man has created money as that control. So at the end, the person who goes on a rampage, does the killing, is the person who has the money and the power, and has successfully accomplished their whatever mission you want to call that they completed it efficiently.
And definitely, I definitely agree with everything you're saying. Like the white supremacy is inherently rooted in the control of resources, land, and spaces, institutional, religious, economical, all spaces that have like an influence on our daily lives. Also, I feel like the ending also symbolizes like how he feels like he outsmarted everybody. He's the smartest person. He's like the apex being, basically. He's just hyper aware, very like he's a genius, mastermind mentality. And of course, there's always this association with like extreme violence and intelligence. Like,
I also thought it was interesting how his mom, she was like, a mother just knows. A mother just knows, even though he's fucking lying to her goddamn face. Like he's looking at her, lying to her. And I just find that so insane how his mom she feels like she's so keen and aware about the things that are happening, or she can judge people. She can't even judge her own son. She can't even pick up that energy from him. And I thought that was really I thought that was with intent. I guess everything in movies that happens on screen is supposed to be for a reason, like supposed to show you that this woman is just not aware. Like I don't know. Is that saying something about white women? Is that saying something that like?
It's about the white nuclear family. There's no connection. No emotional connection. Like
be reinforcing the white animosity towards white women. It could also reinforce that as well. So look, she's so dumb. How could she not tell that he did this? Like it could be reinforcing that subconsciously or consciously.
Also, I feel like it just shows the disconnect, like in the white. There's so many films that show
disconnected. Why? Because they're cut off for a little bit.
White families,
white suburban families. I wanted to talk about, and I think it's escaping me. I have like so many like points I want to bring up. Oh yeah, it'll come back to me. It's more of a chime in before me. Okay.
I researched some background on like the director guy because he's literally white supremacist psycho. Like he's like this German guy, and like all of his movies are similar to this. And he has another movie. It's titled Auschwitz, and he's the main character, and he plays a Nazi gas chamber guard that's like showing explicit scenes of brutalization and killing of concentration camp inmates. This is like if you go through like his IMDb, like, this is a very common theme in his films, is like being in a position of power and just like brutalizing and killing people like almost indiscriminately.
This film itself is a form of white supremacy. Like
it is white supremacy.
The fact that this fucking movie is even able to have been made. How the fuck did anybody greenlight this and go, yeah, this is a good idea. Let's make this movie to put us like a beacon out to other white supremacists who are watching this fucking movie.
I agree.
They're like, hey, I could do this too. I could also finesse somebody else who I think is weaker than me, who's also a white supremacist, like his friend, his friend. He finessed him. He was like, just wait in the woods. Wait, I'll be there in 10 minutes. Just fucking took advantage of his stupidity and then framed him for the whole shit and then got away. And it was like, I'm a genius. I fucking did it. And they're all fucking dead and I'm not going to go to jail and I have the money. The end. I won.
Like, imagine if they made a movie about the 9/11 killers from their perspective and showed the whole thing as if it was like some action film and like super like with all these jump cuts and like this fast-paced editing, like, you know how dead white people would be, but like them seeing them like white people murder indiscriminately is just like, it's not
no big deal.
It gets green-lighted.
Yeah, because
very interesting.
That shit interesting. It piques their interest. They enjoy that shit. It's very
it also
empowering.
It reinforces the natural order that they want to have.
Yeah,
I guess so.
It's no different from what they've actually done. What they do when they contact other non-white people. It's what they do. On a smaller scale, you know, Rampage is a baby compared to what white supremacy does in actuality.
Yeah.
I wanna say that I feel like white supremacy is very self-revealing. Like it often reveals itself. For example, I feel like white supremacists have no problem showing their allegiances with like either flags or other symbols or other badges of so-called honor. And I feel like it was in the film. It showcased how white supremacy can be very overt, and it would tell you, "Hey, I'm going to destroy you," because he told his friend, "I'm going to kill you." And it's so interesting that we have in America, we have a country that has a place called the White House, you know. So like white supremacy is always revealing, you know, like that's
fucking the White House.
Yeah, it is. And for a very long time, white people could only be presidents, and you guys know all these things.
Yeah, but they should call that shit the All House now.
Also, towards the end, he says, like, this is the subconscious fear being expressed either consciously or subconscious. He says, "There's no way we can survive. 70 million people are being produced each year, and obviously most of those people, I'm only saying this because of the fear and the tone of his voice, are like, most of those people are non-white people." You know?
Definitely.
So like his war cry is like saying, "Hey, we need to just do this, just kill him."
Yeah, and
yeah, he literally said that. That was nuts.
To compare him to the real life rampager, the Christchurch white supremacist terrorist Brennan Tarrant. His whole thing is about immigration and population control, and like how like the non-whites are just taking the resources, taking over. And he literally did his own. He did a real rampage, killed 51 people. And it's not the first time. Like this has been going on forever.
It won't be the last. It will not be the last. It certainly will not be the last.
I also feel like the use of the word rampage is not a good word. Like it doesn't actually accurately describe. This is like a very methodical, like not uncontrollable. Like the definition for a rampage is like uncontrollable violence, which is like, what is that supposed to imply? That like.
But that's the subconscious.
Yeah, like it's just like they have, like, why people have to do this or something. Like it's within their I don't know, philosophy, their essence, their existence. I don't know. But I just thought rampage was like not an apt word at all for this.
They should have called this shit the plan.
White rage.
Yeah, white rage.
I also thought it was interesting how like he treated workers poorly, only to be mistreated at his own job.
At work? Ooh,
like
damn.
Too.
That's
sweet. And I was
sweet.
just like, wow, like you see yourself as a victim, and then once you see someone who's in a position of you, instead of like feeling sort of solidarity as both like workers, you just see an opportunity to like have power over them. It was very, very interesting. Like.
That's really interesting. That's an interesting. That's interesting as fuck. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Understanding the gun as a white supremacist phallic symbol and symbol of power and the great equalizer, we can understand why we have that gun montage and where he's like planning it out. Because white supremacists are well aware that you cannot maintain a system without that kind of violence being normalized and actually acted upon. So I can't wait till we reach chapter where we all are able to understand these symbols more, especially the gun. And yeah, and honestly, when in these kind of films, like whenever you see whenever I see a person like dying, white or black, it's just best to imagine it as a non-white person, because that is probably the subconscious intention, it's meant to be like a white person. The only thing that is the center, that's the white person. Like the focus is white person. Everything else can be seen as non-white, especially if harm is done to it.
Also, I would say the sheriff, coming in with the sheriff bag representing the
white hope.
The disbelief in his face that he was dying was everything.
Yeah, that's fucked. That's fucked.
Also, to me, that it kind of showed how white supremacy is this magical death machine. How the fuck is this guy with a armor-clad suit with a bag full of money gonna sneak up on you in a Twitch wood?
Yeah, that was fucking nonsense. I was like, that was fucking stupid. That was dumb as fuck.
I'm like, okay, so the film is just, like I said earlier, turned them into this apex.
Yeah, they tried to make this motherfucker like a racist superhero.
Yeah.
Anti-Batman, I'm telling you, that's
it was.
Yeah.
I have no doubt in my mind or my heart that this film has already inspired
so many homebrew terrorists.
Yeah,
so many, man.
2009, right?
Yeah. That's what?
All these anti-ass white boys fucking sitting in their house ordering weird shit through the mail. This is fucking crazy. And peep that. Did you peep that too? All those fucking packages got sent to his friend's house.
Yeah.
So all that shit, he was setting that motherfucker up from the beginning. He never had any other plan except to.
That's white supremacy.
To put his friend under the fucking bus.
We have no intention of ending this. We have no intention of ending it. And yeah, we've been planning for a long time, for sure. That's
even him giving him a magazine was him indoctrinating him into this plan, because that magazine is it's all about guns, all about it's those magazines that you would expect to find in someone's house who just did a mass shooting.
Oh, what magazine? I'm sorry. Maybe I wasn't paying.
It was one of those gun magazines, and he was also giving those to him.
Oh yeah, to even further set the shit up. Yeah, just to leave a hole. Yeah.
Control narrative. White supremacy has created narratives for all non-white people. We all know the narratives of Black Lives Matter has been completely degraded and turned into the immediate response is black on black crime. That is a narrative that has been created and sustained through white supremacy by disproportionate numbers being presented to the mass media culture, meaning the general population, where Black people are depicted on the news very, very in undesirable ways, as killers, as thugs and gang members.
Yeah, XYZ. Yeah.
So in this film, on the very, very it's a microcosm of how white supremacy works. So this guy was controlling the narrative from the very beginning. Yeah, he was controlling the narrative. So when the news people found out that his friend dead, it was a suicide. It was a lone wolf type of situation. He'd been hoarding magazines and guns. His dad may have been in it. His dad used to protest. In the 60s, he saw that yeah. He knew these things would be discovered and could be used.
Yeah. He was a wolf in sheep's clothing among other white supremacists. So his friend's role, although it was minimal in comparison, he picked him specifically because he knew that he can make this shit happen as long as he had him to be the fall guy. Like, white supremacy was always looking for somebody to take the blame. Like, I don't know if you know, Trey, but in Los Angeles, in Compton, 2 sheriffs were fucking shot point blank.
Yeah, that happened, of course. Yeah.
And some fucking, I forget the guy's name, but some random black man was just targeted as the person they said who did it. And then the sheriff's department put out a notice that said it wasn't him and they were hacked or some bullshit. And that's why that was out there. But the damage could already be done. They could have got that man killed, or they could have ruined his fucking reputation, or any number of things could have happened because of the irresponsibility of reporting fake information. And I know for a fact they're gonna try to pin this shit on any black or Latino person, period. It doesn't matter who it is. They're just gonna look for somebody to just sweep this shit under the rug. They're not even gonna consider the fact that it might be a white person who did this shit.
I mean, as a person who's been traumatized by the American police force, I have no trust in that system, and I totally believe that it was an inside job, and it's something completely created to further cause disruption and like peaceful protest, and cause disruption and replacing racism and white supremacy with a system of justice.
I didn't even think about that being an inside job. That's a pretty interesting take.
I'm confident that the very, very corrupt Compton Police or LAPD are very capable of staging a double homicide to 2 fake officers who probably never existed, you know. So,
that's some shit, man.
I agree.
Yeah, sheriff, cops, they're all the same. Tomato, tomato. They're all fucking agents of white supremacy. So, fuck it.
Like, isn't there like there's no audio of like shooting there in your car? There's literally a camera and an audio equipment inside every single police car. Why isn't it released?
They want to control the narrative. That's what they want to control the narrative. That's what white supremacy does. They're controlling this whole shit.
But wouldn't they want us to be empathetic towards the people who died in the last moments? Because when a black person dies, we see it the next day, you know?
Yeah, well, that's by design.
What was that?
So that's just by design for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, this movie is really weighing. This shit is making me. I don't want to say depressed, but it's really fucking. I'm really mad that I suddenly said this shit has made me very fucking uncomfortable, bro. Like I'm really like. This shit crushed my day up, bro.
Like, at the core, white supremacy, this is their mentality, you know. This is what they do, and the next movie we're watching is like the total opposite. It's what it's how we need to be to juxtapose our behavior and how So the next movie we'll be watching is totally opposite of this. The spook who sat by the door. So it'll be a good cleanser, but we needed to see this, and because it's a good way to now we have to contextualize everything that Dr. Cress Welsing says in this and the ISIS paper, that everything that we see, there should be no reason, there should be nothing that we see that we can't understand why is it happening. No one should be jumping up and down asking what's going on, why is it happening, because we should know why this is happening. We should be able to get the root of the issue. And most times the culprits are the white supremacists. That's 99.9% is going to be the white supremacists. Who should be blamed?
Some more.
But it's crazy when the white supremacists own all the systems. They're never going to fucking take responsibility. Never. They're never going to say, this is not right, or this is, X, Y, Z. And so you're right. It is up to everybody to raise their vibrations, their frequencies, to understand the shit that's happening around them. But my question is, what's next after that?
Well,
even if you're aware,
what's this critical mass of people talking about racism and white supremacy? According to the compensatory logic, the white supremacists have 2 options, in racism and white supremacy, or kill all non-white people. I'm fine with either of those.
I agree. Also, let's get like some more symbolic. When I say I agree, I mean that was still trying to do. So like foam and my coffee. So like super minor, but like I said, every single thing can be dissected as if it were like surgery. So foam is a white substance and coffee is generally black, dark colored. So like this whole conflict is coming because he wants this black liquid to be covered in white foam. You know? To me that means something. Like, to me it's subtle, but everything is like can be decoded to be a color. Like,
yeah, and coffee is super like, you know, it's super
connected.
It's super like exists because of white supremacy, because white people get that black in them, get that energy, get that cup of joe, and a cup of joe actually stems back from the slave days, because you know a slave master would wake up and beat their slaves and get energy from that, and they would just call that their cup of joe. That they couldn't go about their regular routine without getting their energy from beating their slave named Joe, the cup of Joe in the morning. So that's where that comes from. So yeah, it's all like interrelated, and it's all because of white people have devised this system of white supremacy, racism.
I thought that it was pretty interesting that he had to make it clear to the guy when he went back out to him to make coffee as if his life depended on it. He wanted him to know it was him, and like he was almost like annoyed that he didn't recognize that it was him.
I'll say that again.
Yeah. He basically wanted the guy to know that it was him that came back for that coffee in particular, and he's like, "Do you remember me?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was very interesting.
That petty energy of I want my respect, and you're gonna give it to me one way or the other. And it's because they both are white, attemptingly practicing supremacists, because one is coming up inadequate. He came to be like, you're gonna respect me the way that you know you should, because you're white just like me. You know what I want, sort of thing.
And I think it's a good example to note how he made it fun to kill that guy, because he let him run away, you know, because that's what the white supremacists love to do. They like to make fun, killing fun. So he was like, yeah, y'all give me 5 seconds to run. You know, he had a little fun. He got to go on a short chase to hunt his prey, shoot him down, as they do.
Didn't he call him boy? Or did I imagine that he called him boy?
I wouldn't be surprised, but
I feel like I heard that. I'm not 100%, but I feel like he said something, and he was like boy, and then he fucking shot him in the goddamn back. It was pretty fucking ridiculous to watch. Oh yeah. Oh well, okay, yeah, that's still pretty bad though.
Yeah, I remember because. Oh yeah, I forgot. But this film is an extreme showcase of white angst and self-alienation and narcissism. Like the amount of times we have to hear his mind being expressed vocally is narcissistic. Basically, we have to adjust ourselves to kind of understand why this is happening. This is happening because he views these people he is killing as they don't deserve to live. And that's the only reason why they're being killed. But yeah.
How the fuck does he get to decide that?
I thought it was interesting too, like always the repetition of like the news and the same news. It was like the same news clips over and over. And it's like this constant brainwashing that the media is also like complicit in, of like constantly repeating the same things to you so that you're obsessed with like, you know, overpopulation, and like, you know, the media picks and chooses what you can you should care about and what you'll never know about. So
this is why
it's really interesting. It was the same news clips over and over throughout the whole movie.
I think this is why currently every white person on the planet knows about BLM, and they despise and hate BLM because BLM to them subconsciously or subconsciously represents, you know, a threat of them losing their power, losing their control. But BLM is not even like, I don't know, BLM's like, I don't know what they're fighting for. I don't know what their goal is, but unless they're talking about dismantling, ending, replacing white supremacy with justice, I don't think they that BLM should even be that consistently talked to, but on the news, the news media has definitely made BLM like a household name.
Honestly,
Damn, I didn't even think about that.
if the FBI aren't trying to infiltrate them, they're not really doing much. So they're no Black Panther Party.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys saying. I don't know what use, what benefits have happened from Black Lives Matter. I have not received any funds from Black Lives Matter. I've not seen Black Lives Matter save any Black people. I have seen them sell lots of merchandise, branding, and I have seen them sell stickers, and I have seen them kind of be a scapegoat and kind of like a punching bag for like angsty white supremacists.
If anything, the number of deaths within the Black community or just the public display of that has gone up since Black Lives Matter has been established.
Definitely helping commodify the death of Black people, for sure. These are conscious or subconsciously. It's playing a major role with commodifying Black death, Black suffering. But hey, I'm glad people are protesting, because that's something,
I think it's to buy T-shirts too, so everything works out. What a fucking life, man. I never even thought about that shit. The fact that Black Lives Matter is so well known, could that be by design as well? To let you think that you have some sort of fight, some sort of dog in this fight?
I mean, the slogan in of itself, BLM, is not really like, preventing white people from, it's not taking any power or resources from white people to say that Black Lives Matter. It's the bare minimum.
And ultimately,
they won't let you say Black Power though, right? Because that is like scary or something. Like,
I think that's ultimately like why they like that whole movement, that slogan, is because it makes them like comfortable.
Yeah, they think that shit is cute. They think it's like some cute shit. Like, oh, look at that, Black Lives Matter, Bill. That's fucking.
Your life does matter.
Why don't you come to Starbucks and get a BLM cup with purchase of your fucking coffee? It's fucking nonsense, bro. I hate this fucking country, bro. It's insanity. That's fucked up, bro. I've never even thought about BLM just being some sort of marketing strategy for.
Yeah, it's just more convenient, more deceit. It's not trying to end racism and white supremacy.
Well, shit, that org can't even do that. They don't even have the capacity to stand white supremacy. The only thing that
it has a huge platform, I could at least mention it.
They're not going to, and I think we all know that.
Actually, I would advise everyone to like look at BLM's like website, not the locals, because like I think BLM LA does good work compared to the other ones. But like BLM in general, like it's literally it's like a Black queer org. It's not like and like if you look at a lot of like what BLM talks about, a lot of it is like they perpetuate a lot of the Black men are violent, Black men are homophobic myths that are like really they perpetuate that a lot. So
I think the biggest thing for me too is like how they want to get rid of like the family structure. Like they don't believe in that, and it seems like they almost support like single mothers, other things like that.
One more time, bro. I can't hear you. Please say that again.
One thing for me is I feel they dislike the nuclear family structure. That's just my opinion, and I feel like they push that a lot. They push a lot of like not being a community, kind of being supported by the state, and having government pay for things for you, supporting your family rather than like coming together as like a community in the village, which kind of separates Black people and keeps them from
so it's
coming
like purposeful distraction, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people who have significant clout in BLM are looking to get book deals, etc. Because like if you go to like Ferguson, they literally they run people who are in BLM out because they say that they just
looking for clout. Yeah,
they took away from the actual like movement, etc. So
wow, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So so do you think that BLM would be more progressive if they started addressing the situation as white racism, white supremacy directly instead of like dancing around the shit? Like,
It's not about being progressive. It's about being revolutionary. It's about actually like dismantling things.
well, isn't revolution progress?
I mean, BLM just is like their slogans is like prosecute killer cops. Like, okay, I don't know.
Yeah, more t-shirts and coffee mugs. I don't. Yeah, fuck, man.
It is prosecute killer cops. I mean, I think now they're on the defund police kind of train as well, but for years it's always just been prosecute killer cops, which I think is like a very
it's not enough.
Low standard, and I think that's why they probably get a lot of
Yeah, it's easier to support because it's not too extreme. It's just like, okay, well,
yeah, like
prosecute the cops.
Like it's BLM. They don't ask for like, I don't know if they even have. Do they have anything on reparations? Like, do they have a platform on that?
I don't think so. I can't say whether for sure, but I'm like 90%.
Yeah, I feel like a black org. Like I feel like that would be the bare minimum is to like.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. That's just my perspective.
Well, as long as white supremacy is intact, reparations will never come because white supremacy is not ashamed of what they've done and what they continue to do to maintain. What are the steps to foster the idea, to maintain the idea, to keep the idea up? Like no matter what, the idea is to always keep the shit going. Like it never stop it. Like.
But the conversation about reparations needs to happen because reparations is like the big thing that you see that all of this wealth was not made by white people. Therefore, it should all be taken from them. And like, I think that's really important. And like, it goes deeper into the history and founding of like, not just this. Because like, if you talk about reparations and you start to realize like all of the world has like had to deal with white theft. And I think that it's really important to have that type of conversation. Even if you don't think it'll ever happen, like it's about understanding that you've been stolen from. And like that type of anger, maybe would propel us as a critical mass to be like, we're taking that shit back. So I think I don't know. I personally think reparations is a really, really important thing to do.
Yeah, it is. Even to get on a even on like so-called fair playing field, we need wealth and resources, and the land that so-called actually any promise made by white supremacists is not a promise.
Yeah, and also, even if we receive these, the reparations, the only thing they're gonna do is move the fucking goalpost even further up. Like so, whatever idea of fairness exists in our minds, or any non-white people, that shit. Let's say we get these fucking reparations, they'll make this shit a circus to get these reparations. It'll be a fucking nightmare to get them. It'll be so many weird ass steps you have to take, or all these weird programs you probably have to get through to even get what was rightfully yours. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think that reparations will exist in the system of capitalism. It's never going to happen, because if they give reparations, they have to admit that what they're doing is wrong, and white supremacy is never going to say outright that what we're doing is incorrect.
I kind of agree and like disagree. I mean, like I feel like it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Wait, you got one mic here. One mic.
Yeah, sorry. It's only because I don't have a direct mic. I can't really project. Really.
I'll let you finish, ladies first.
Yeah. So, Europeans or old slave masters who basically have inheritance of previous loss of property when slavery ended, they stopped getting their reparations in 2015. So there's people in our day and age that are still receiving reparations for loss of property. And that there's a documentary called Britain's Forgotten Slave Owners that BBC have a whole series of it where they actually talk about the companies that have been founded on slavery money. They talk about Aviva Loans, NatWest Bank, South. Yeah, I'll find it and send the link for the document.
Yeah, put it in the WhatsApp.
Yeah, most definitely. But so they have policies in place because they received their last payment in 2015. That sounds like a very formulated structure that they can now replicate to the people who are actually and have ancestral lineage of slavery. Yeah. If they can do it You can do it for the slaves.
Yeah, I also, I mean, I personally believe that they're still getting reparations. Yeah, I don't think it ended until 13. I think they, whenever they tell us anything on the news or
Probably bullshit.
media culture, to me, it is misinformation. It is directing our attention to other things that are distractions. Yeah.
I just want to say that all hopeless forms of thinking is white programming. All hopeless forms of thinking is programming, white supremacist programming.
Well, I'm not saying that I'm not. Well, I don't. I'm not saying that you're talking to me directly. I feel like you kind of are, but like, I don't think what I'm thinking is hopeless. I think that what I'm thinking is realistic because I don't think that reparations for Black people will come, or any non-white people will come, especially in America, as long as capitalism exists. Because if they have to admit, like, I'm sorry, but I'm just saying, as long as if they have to admit that they were wrong, then that fucks up their entire system. If they have to like get on fucking live television or some kind of government mandate and say, hey, you know, we fucked up. Here's some money because your ancestors were slaves, and we were wrong about that. They're never going to publicly admit that they were wrong. I just don't think that is going to happen.
But
and without them admitting, reparations can't come.
I think the discourse is so off. It's not about asking people for stuff, and people need to stop being in the mindset of waiting to like get stuff or ask the government or protest enough so the government gets you. No, you need to take things. Like just build a critical mass and occupy space and take things. Like I think that's the whole point. Like that's how you end these things. Like it's not about asking for it. And I think that's the problem with the language sometimes is it's too much based on call your elected officials, do this. And it's like, no, we need to stop begging for things and be like, this is what we need. This is what we are owed, if that makes sense. Like, because you're not gonna get it if you're just asking.
Or if you're waiting for the white supremacists to change their mind, that's never gonna happen. That's why.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Well, do you think that reparations will come without violence? I don't think that they will.
Well, not even thinking about violence. I think we can mobilize and accomplish anything. I think with enough, codified individuals, anything can be done, especially dismantling the system.
The code is really interesting because it really teaches you like how to pick your battles and how to react and strategize. And like if people were on that wave, especially people right now who are protesting, were much more strategic and less reaction based, I think that a lot more would get done. But everyone is very like reaction based.
Yeah, Black Lives Matter doesn't show up until somebody gets shot. And then, then it's a whole issue. But all these things are going on year round for centuries, and they're not even addressing like the root causes. All they're doing is, like Ashley said, is reacting to the situation that's happening now.
I understand where Jaya is coming from. I do disagree. I do believe that we will see reparations in our lifetime.
I hope so.
I'm speaking that into power, speaking that into existence. I am a god. I can believe that.
I think it's important though. Is to be talking about it, and I think what will shock me, and what Zaire said, is like he doesn't see what happened is if someone like an actual like Black leader, like Malcolm X, for example, got on CNN and demand this is what Black America needs. That'll shock me when I see it. But I think it can happen, and I think that's something that needs to happen.
I think that I don't think that I don't think that we have leaders like Malcolm X anymore. I don't even want anybody to speak. I don't want anybody to be the voice for Black America. I don't want somebody to get on CNN or whatever fucking popular news network to. Like, we don't need that shit. We
don't have Black leaders. We have no Black celebrities. We need to be worshiping or celebrating or expecting them to help us. So
because it's not gonna happen.
Yeah. So
I think, but when you're talking about these things, it's important to have somebody because you can't just get.
I think that you think a figurehead should exist to be the mouthpiece
But he's not a leader. He's more of a servant of the people. Like I'm not gonna worship him the minute he starts curving off from what we believe in. It's time to maybe reevaluate this guy.
Well, I would say worship is not like
I
the.
think every individual has to become like a so-called leader. Like everyone needs to be on the same frequency.
But how much time do we have though? You know what I'm saying? Because we're having this conversation, and I'm sure we're not the only black people having this conversation or reading these texts or watching these movies and trying to form opinions based on these things.
Yeah.
But to the same effect, everybody should raise their consciousness and their vibrations. But how long do we have to fucking wait for more people to become more aware? Because the longer we wait, the less time we
it's not waiting.
We're not waiting.
Actively
we're not waiting.
Recruiting and it's also, you can't play a passive role, right? Like now that you know and are aware, you also have like a responsibility to dedicate your time and not always base things on. You have to sacrifice, right? Like
a lot.
Yeah.
I want to get back to the film and like talk about something that no one mentioned. Privilege, like white privilege. I thought it was so hilarious how the cops were literally shooting at this white man in body armor and still telling him to get down, to freeze. You guys catch that? You guys catch that?
Yeah, no. But I don't believe in white privilege anymore. Because white privilege is just white supremacy, and like
one and the same. Yeah,
I agree. But it's interesting seeing white supremacy form in this film in the context of this white man who is armed still has two police officers saying, "Please stop! Put the gun down." As he's shooting at them, and they're shooting at him.
They're still acting like, please, that language is pretty specific.
Yeah, and even in the face of like death, white people
still being pleasant to other white people, even though they're fucking being murdered.
Yeah, very interesting scenery. And of course, on the news we always see incidents where like white armed men are taken alive. White armed men are not. Violently shot in the back by police officers. Violent white men are able to kill entire movie theaters full of people, and then
impunity,
jail alive. It's just
they roof to fucking Burger King after he killed those fucking people.
Yeah. We have to understand that this is white supremacy. White supremacy is death. As long as the people you're killing are not me, basically. Like, you didn't kill me. I'm just gonna do my job, and kind of showed off a bit towards the end, but just to make sure my point is heard, white supremacy was manifested in this film, even through the interaction he had with police officers.
What you was just saying about, I think it was Zaire that mentioned the shooters and getting Burger King afterwards as a way of saying, like what Trey just said about, it's as a way of saying you're not, as long as you're not killing me. In fact, that rewarding system of getting in Burger King is such a powerful message that we need to like really, at that point, I tried to digest it, but then that's what allowed me to really understand that white supremacy, because it's one thing to reward George Zimmerman with fame and money, but you rewarded this person with a meal as if they did a great job or they just won a game for you, like you took your son out, like, well done, you've done the rites of passage, you understand what white supremacy is about. Like,
I don't even think about it that critically. That's really fucking interesting. That's interesting as fuck. That's crazy.
You pass in this white world, you well done, like a pat on the back, literally. That's
basically what he's a jolly good fellow.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. Thank you for adding that. I didn't even think about it that critically, but that's pretty intense.
It's disgusting. A disgusting truth.
Unfortunately. It's very fucking unfortunate.
Yeah, those images though, of him just kind of shooting those people. I know you guys mentioned that earlier, but yeah, that was honestly tough to watch.
Yeah, that shit was, the whole movie was uncomfortable as fuck. Like I almost exited the meeting like 5 times. I was like, fuck, man, I don't want to watch this shit no more. I was just waiting for this shit to be over. I was like, when is this fucking movie gonna be done? Like, I don't want to watch this shit no more. Like, I don't want to see.
Rite of passage. I'm glad y'all stuck with it and consume the content. And this is the mentality. Maybe we should have watched Hunt for Red October, which is like the same thing, but like the hunt, like operations like Hunt for Red October, or just the military in general. What does it produce? The stuff
more people, more interest. Yeah.
No, the stuff we see in Rampage, that kind of killing. So this is normal to them. They wake up and do this. They wake up and order this. Wake up and tell robots to do this. They don't care. This is.
Yeah, for me, it made me realize like kind of the capacity that people have. Like you wouldn't imagine like your normal average person
to fucking do this.
Yeah, but you know, like
but
why people are able to do this?
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people thought that about James Holmes and Dylan Roof and Brendan.
What's that dude, Ted Bundy? Fucking people online talk about how handsome Ted Bundy is. What the fuck are you talking about? That motherfucker killed. That nigga, a serial killer. What are you talking about? Like, you focusing on the wrong shit. Like, they'll try to find any exact. That's the word I was looking for. Rationalization. Any way to rationalize fucking horrendous behavior. Like, that shit is disgusting, man. Like, that shit disgusts me.
This is the psychology of attraction. Like, I had done a presentation back for my undergraduate about attraction, and it literally said the more attractive you are, the more you can get away with. So if you think about growing up and being conditioned to believing that white European people are attractive, you're bombarded with that imagery. No matter how basic they are, they will play the lead role. And we take that and desensitize our minds into thinking that this is the ideal version of beauty. So they literally can get away with murder because of that trait. There are studies that literally have shown that if people deem a child unattractive, they will punish them more than a child that they would think is attractive. So under that basis, that same premises works in any area of society. Like when they say women can get away with murder, or like an attractive older teacher that's basically doing pedophilia would be seen, the child would be seen as like a lucky person because they got to sleep with a beautiful woman. Like it's the same rhetoric, but used and which is why this guy went on a rampage, because he doesn't fall into that category. He's inadequate by all that sense, and all that senses. Women don't find him attractive. He doesn't get respect amongst his peers. So it's like, I'm white and I'm still not right. So rampage.
Yeah. I want to piggyback off what you said about like our how we've been trained and programmed through mass media culture. When I say mass media culture, I mean film, cinema, music, poetry, philosophy, scientific research. All of these things have conditioned and trained us to have this image of white people as essentially good. And that's why when we see white people in newspapers and they do horrible things, it doesn't say like this guy is a serial killer who killed 19 people.
It's a local man or some bullshit like that.
Troubled man battling mental disruptions, unfortunately killed. They go out of their way.
No, he said slaves, man slaves, 12 children, like they're animals or something. Like the children are animals.
Oh yeah, they use slay. Yeah, that's fucking crazy. But if it's me or you or Trey, or these fucking black thugs, fucking black bastard thug gang member Crips from Los Angeles.
Yeah,
it's a whole different ball game. They use the mug shots. They go find a picture of fucking Swan like throwing up a middle finger or some dumb shit. But if it's like a white boy, they put a picture of this motherfucker in a cap and gown like this and shit, walking his dog and shit. They're like, he never got into any trouble. I was like, okay. But if it's me or you, they're gonna my dad fucking smoked a cigarette in 1993 or some shit. Like they'll go to any length to validate their fucking nonsense. Like it's really crazy, man. That shit is crazy. That's fucking insane. Media projection really like it fucks up people's perception. Like, and then when you start to talk to people who are not aware of what's happening, like they fucking think you're crazy. Like, man, I'm not fucking crazy. Like, look at the way that they're portraying us, bro.
I'm telling you the reality. I'm like, the reality is right here. You're addicted to white culture and white supremacy. You're addicted to being abused by this system. This is not how you should live. Like, you should not consume these images, these messages. You should not be suffering, but you made suffering comfortable. So here we are.
Just want to give some personal experiences from today. Every day, everyone in this group chat experience racism, white supremacy. So, and I just try to counter it as much as possible, and I do that in my own unique way at times. So today, I was walking down the street on multiple occasions, I'm sick of the white woman archetype, like hiding their bags whenever I get near them or walk past them.
That shit is so aggravating, bro. That's the most aggravating shit.
Yeah. So today I stop. If they do, I stop and I look at them and say, "No one's gonna steal your bag, you stupid white bitch." You know. And then I said that. It happened like 3 times, and I said it 3 times. Because it got to a point where I'm not gonna just take this abuse silently. I'm not gonna.
That is abuse.
You fucking make me feel like a criminal every second of my time outside. You know, I'm gonna confront these demonic voices and these really, really horribly brainwashed people. You know,
don't project that shit onto me just because you're on some fuck shit. Like, don't project that shit on me. I hate that, bro. I have a similar situation. I remember when I was in Beverly Hills or some shit. I forget where it is, but this fucking white man.
Yeah, just to clarify, this is not a situation. This is an everyday occurrence in my life as a black human being.
No, I don't doubt that in any capacity. But I'm like that situation is not something. That's something we all have experienced. I would imagine. Is why
I would expect for sure everyone in the group chat.
Yeah, but not as frequently as Trey, because I don't be out ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a lot of places where white people exist like frequently, but in the times that I have been, this fucking.
I want to hear your Beverly Hills story.
Okay, so this was probably like 4 or 5 years ago at this point, but I remember this shit vividly because it made me so fucking mad. I got off the bus and I'm going to Coffee Bean or some shit. I don't know. I'm going to some coffee place. And this guy's walking in front of me. He has like a briefcase. He's wearing a suit and shit and a nice watch and all this other shit. I'm walking behind him because I just happen to be behind him. He fucking stops, fakes a phone call, and just like waits for me to pass by him. And I was like, I'm not gonna take your fucking briefcase, you fucking weirdo. Like, I was so fucking mad. I was like, what a nonsense. You look so fucking stupid. You look so dumb. Like, you look so fucking dumb. What's wrong with you? Do you think that I'm just fucking waiting for you to drop your brief? Like, I don't know what you think is going to happen, but you're like creating a fear for yourself that doesn't fucking exist. Like, you're insane. Like, that shit is crazy. Like,
I work with a lot of white students, so I've seen their imagination, and I've seen their creativity, and I've seen them write poems about their subconscious fear of black people. One student of mine, and this is a college student. One student of mine wrote a poem about this homeless man who thought was going to attack him when he saw the homeless man collecting cans, and I had to have a whole conversation with this individual about how this is a racist piece of literature. But yeah, it just manifests all
that's fucking crazy.
24/7.
That's so interesting because I literally also had a student who was white who wrote a poem about being afraid of a black homeless person.
Yeah.
And I had to talk to him about like where like these fears are coming from. It was very like a lot of labor. Yeah.
That's scary, man.
It's literally in their subconscious.
While we're on the topic, when I was making when I was making my short film, An American Story, I was making it in a collective of other people, 8 other people, and 12. I don't really remember how many. And there was this white woman by the name of Katie, and she made her film, and her film was like racism, white supremacy propaganda, to the point where as I was watching her short film, I felt sick, and thank God there were other non-white people in the class, because long story short, her film was not showed. She was removed from the class, but her whole was like a short film about a black guy living in the future and him being controlled by like white people 24/7, and like the film opens up with him being like dragged by the neck in a leash, and it's just super like sadistic, you know. And like this person sat, and this is not the first time that this person made a racist film. She has a reputation at Berkeley for being like a known
racist.
Why do these actors keep agreeing to her films?
Yeah. Because they agree with white supremacy.
I mean,
at a subconscious level, even if they don't think they do, that's why they keep greenlighting these fucking movies for her, because they don't really think it's a problem, and they probably didn't think it was a problem until Trey and all the other non-white people were like, "This is kind of fucking odd, right? Like this fucking movie is problematic as fuck." Like
because it was Berkeley, actually like every single white student turned on her in the class. You know, I'm not sure that because like. I don't know why that happened, but she was definitely like, and here's the thing, when she was defending her work, she didn't say anything negative to me. She projected all her anger at this guy. I'll call him B. He was a brown person. He was of Latin American descent. And she had screamed at him, "Why don't you shut the fuck up? You're stupid. You don't know anything." And
what the fuck?
was the person who like was like telling her how racist this stuff is and how like
she couldn't handle it. She couldn't handle that shit.
Yeah. That was the last time I saw that person like ever. You know,
good.
That was just showing just our first cuts. You know, the 7th month of editing left. So yeah, it manifests consciously or subconsciously in a number of ways.
I wanted to say something in response to what Trey was saying about the other white students in the class, because like I've been watching the cows, and whenever they interview white people who like try to seem like they get it, you can tell they like know the scripts, like they know how to pretend to like get it, and it's really scary, like because they'll repeat a lot of things, but then once they get like any actual like pushback that goes to their core, they start to get super hostile, and you see like the very white supremacist behavior of like them projecting like anger and hostility onto the black people when they were being hostile. It's and like calling you a liar and like perpetually playing the white victim. And so I was just like thinking about those kids and like those other students in your class, about them like just knowing how to maneuver in that space. Because like going to that school, you could tell a lot of white people knew how to maneuver, where they don't actually have to take away any of their power or wealth or their family structures. All they have to do is just pretend to like care or sacrifice another white racist person that's more obviously racist to get like power. It's really interesting, like when you said that. Like
that's a cannibalistic kind of like mentality.
Yeah, it's called white sacrifice. It's when you sacrifice a white person to perpetuate the idea that racism and white supremacy is no longer here or no longer as powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez. Oh yeah, and they have a really good in the Kyle's episode. I shared that white woman eventually starts crying, which is a really, really potent defense mechanism white people use against non-whites, because they've conditioned us to care so much about their feelings. So when we see a white person cry, we are consciously or subconsciously, we don't know how to respond. We just want to protect and help that white person. But,
not me, not I.
The majority of people feel this way. So when a white person starts crying, you just know they're.
This must be pretty serious.
Yeah, they're perpetuating racism and supremacy.
I feel like everyone should watch that video. Is a really good analysis of like the white guys. Like
I put it in WhatsApp.
Yeah, like
okay, I'll check it out.
Black women are like calling in, and they're like being, like pushing back on a lot of the way she thinks, and she's super like getting defensive. And the moment a black man comes on, she's like, "Oh, thank you for being so sweet to me." And I'm like, wow, like that's like the setup, like it was very, very
fuck out of here,
like
man.
crying. Yeah, it was like wow. And she was crying, and she literally said, "I'm crying right now," because she had to know, like, you know, like make sure everyone knew that she was in tears, not like.
I would have said, so fucking what? Go get a tissue. Jesus Christ, that's so fucking annoying. That's true. I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro.
Who was Gus interviewing?
Some white woman who has a offspring who is not white, and she married a black crackhead solely for the purpose of
producing a white child. I mean, a black child.
Yes, solely for that purpose.
That's fucking insane. That's the links. The links don't go to. Oh shit, man, that's too much, bro. That's way too much.
And she would like detach from herself during it. She'd be like, yeah, I did that because I'm just this evil white supremacist. Like, it was so weird. It was just like, she was like in a way joking about it, but in a way, like, it was just like very interesting. I'm gonna stop talking about it now, but I think you guys should watch it.
Oh, definitely. That's some wild shit for real.
Yeah, I just feel like white tears are so aggressive, especially in work environments.
Especially in work environments, especially in like professional office spaces and shit. That shit is super true. The entitlement is even further there. I don't. Well, that's just my experience. Like the entitlement is too high, way too high.
I have a real.
That culture. No, go ahead.
We say, man?
No, I said
go ahead, bro.
I have like a real world experience where like, so you guys said in a work environment. So I used to work at Forever 21, and I have a manager. Let's call her Kay. She was under investigation for like saying homophobic jokes and racist jokes in regards to a brown queer person. And I think the jokes were like, she came in with some perfume and she liked how it smelled, and she assumed that the gay person would like how it smelled, and she like tried to force him to like use it and smell it and say, you may like this, you know? And there was also a person in my team who also was feeling mistreated by this by the manager of all of us. So we were all managed by this white woman. And I remember she was being under investigation. And she had called me into a conference room, her, and she was started the conversation, full of tears, crying, bawling, saying, "Trey, they're trying to fire me, please." And
oh no!
This is my manager who like, at this time I was probably 21 or 22, very young, did not know all the things I know at the moment. And I was in a really cushy situation because I knew my in her office on her phone playing games or looking at houses to buy. I knew she was never actually working. And I knew I was enjoying my time there more than working anyway. So I was interviewed by these HR people. And because of like my comfortability, because of my complacency and racism, white supremacy, like I did not say anything wrong about this person.
That's what happens, man. That's the tie right there.
And then she started crying. And she's like, "Trey, thank you so much, Trey."
The white tears, man. The power of white tears.
My first time ice skating was ice skating with her and her two white daughters, like holding one white girl hand and another white lady.
Oh my God. Trey was like, "I'm a part of the family. Forever 21 forever."
Trey the mammy.
Oh my God. I was going to say you were the token nigga, man.
You guys, this is Trey. He does for mommy to HR, so he's.
Trey, what's Trey coming back? But like,
also like everyone on the team was like a person of color, so like we were all ice skating with this woman.
I should have all plantation.
Oh, stop playing with me, bro.
This is the sorry.
Oh man,
that's so profound. Like just that image, if you guiding these white children to like on the ice.
Oh me, I'm really dying. Like I'm just like, oh my fucking god. Like, oh
and they're
shit,
both
man.
little girls, like they're children, you know.
Oh my God.
And I'm sure she's teaching them the technique. She's like, when you get in trouble, just go like this. I'm so sorry. Just every time. Just white tears are nothing to me. I don't give a fuck. I'm like, oh, you shouldn't have said that shit. Don't act like that. Don't. I don't care, bro. Don't. It doesn't mean anything to me.
That's all I am now. That's all I am now.
Of course, bro. Of course. You feel me? We're learning. You feel me? But goddamn, that's intense, man. That's crazy. Like I had something happen to me at work where a customer called me a nigger, and I got so hot. Like I just like
on the phone.
Yeah, like a customer was calling about like whatever, and then like she was like like he was like something nigger, and I was like, what? What are you talking? Like, who are you talking to? He was like, I'm talking to you, nigga. He said, oh my God, bro. I'm like on 10 at this point, and it's like everything in me not to be like, who the fuck are you talking to? So I'm just like, oh my God, dude. Like, then I'm getting hot at my cubicle, and my voice is already, you know me, bro. My voice is already loud. You feel me? So I'm getting hot. I'm getting madder and madder and madder. My manager comes over. She's like, John, what's going on? Blah 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 blah. I fucking end up going to the head office manager and my direct manager. We all have a meeting, and then she goes tell me some shit like, I've had a customer call me a bitch on the phone, so I know where you're coming from. And I was like, you don't know where I'm coming from. You have no idea what you're talking about. Stop, like, I was like, stop trying to relate to me. And I got so mad, bro, that I was like, I want this meeting to be over. Can we be done so I can go back to my cubicle? But like, in retrospect, I should have been like, you need to fight for me. Like, I'm your fucking employee. Like, you need to advocate for me. Like, I should have done more to advocate for myself. But instead, I kind of just like, you know, like let it be like water on my back and just fucking slide off. But I should have definitely, you know, advocated for myself harder. And if that shit ever happens again, which I hope it doesn't, but it probably will because we live in, you know, capitalist America. If that shit ever happens again, I'm definitely gonna go harder for myself. But man, that fucking situation, it just made me so fucking provoked and angry, bro. Like it took everything in me to not lose my shit. But I remember going back to my desk and like fucking slamming my fist into my desk hard as fuck, and then everybody around me is like, "Oh my God, what's going on?"
Energy you should never give still learning. Yeah.
That shit crazy, man. That shit had me so hot, bro. I didn't know what the fuck to do. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, like this shit is not that serious for you to fucking like feel like you have that some kind of secret weapon, like oh fuck, bro. That shit had me so hot, bro.
It's their secret weapon, but they know that word is they know that word can trigger. This is why they've armed themselves with it. This is why they spent centuries making us that word, you know. So that's why it's supposed to have that power. So
yeah, man, and that's not even that long ago. This is like fucking what, 2 years ago, maybe. So that's not even that far removed. That's not like I wasn't 21 or 22. I didn't have the excuse of ignorance. I knew that it was wrong, and I knew that it was irresponsible and foul, and I didn't go hard enough for myself. I don't have a lot of regrets, but that's one I do have. I definitely should have. You know, and in the future, I would definitely advocate for myself harder. But man, that shit was intense. It was very intense, and I was disturbed, man. I just couldn't believe she tried to relate to me while she was like, I've been called a bitch. I was like, it's not the same. It's not even fucking close. Like the ramifications are so minimal in comparison. Like,
checking behind me.
I agree.
Yeah, man, it's just a lot. It's hot as fuck here.
I feel like a lot of people who classify themselves as white and have a white mentality have this thing where they feel like how they think mentally is how the world actually operates. So I have a lecturer at my school who says trauma is a social construct. You know? And to me, I don't think trauma is a social construct. And this came up because a white student had a white Brazilian student, like blonde hair, blue eyes, had made a film that was extremely violent, extremely graphic, and it was mostly like footage from the news of like Black Brazilian people being slaughtered by the police force there. And the whole film was like there was no
she didn't get a camera and film anything. It was just stock footage of the news and then over text. And when the film ended, like I was the first person to say how how amateur and naive this work is, and how this is like the far. This is just racist propaganda, and it's super It's really super traumatic and triggering. And then this stupid teacher is like, trauma is a social construct.
Is your teacher's white? Who said this?
Yeah.
No, he's a pickle. He's like a human pickle. Of course, he's white guy. Of course.
I was just asking, bro. I don't fucking know. I don't go to your goddamn school.
You can tell him, I don't know. Well, like I would have responded that there's this book called "Body Keeps the Score," which is only.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
The trauma destroys the mind and body. So for you to say this is actually kind of insulting to the human population, and also to your profession. I was feeling like that.
Yeah, it's pretty irresponsible for him to say that trauma is fucking made up. That's very irresponsible.
Yeah, but there's a lot of instances of
a detachment from reality.
Yeah.
I feel like a white person saying that is almost as if you feel like you have the trigger buttons, you would see it as a social construct, because in not dealing it in yourself, but in dealing with the actual immediate trauma that like PTSD, or knowing that we are triggered by the N-word because it
historical relevance,
it happens so much for us. It can be used as a weapon in a sense to trigger you, discombobulate you in that moment, and just leave you in your head of trauma and revisiting imagery. So yeah, I feel like it can also be used as a weapon. So I do see how it can be a social construct, or how they can see it as a social construct to control a social situation.
Definitely.
Well, anyone want to do any closing remarks? Because we haven't talked about the movie for a minute, and I'm ready to adjourn.
I mean, I don't. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't have anything.
I got some closing remarks. I just want to say that just be, have some type of plan and be safe, because be aware that these people are extremely dangerous and capable of things that we can imagine and things that we cannot imagine. Be aware that these people are extremely lethal. They feel that they have every right to annihilate those in their way. And just be vigilant, just remain vigilant, and understand that this film is just a microcosm of our actual reality that we're living in. This is more real than the news that we watch.
Definitely. The news will never acknowledge white supremacy, so it's definitely up to us to educate other people who will educate everybody so they can benefit from this shit, from the knowledge that this shit exists.
Yeah, thanks everyone for your your Monday afternoon.
Yeah.
See you guys.
See y'all Wednesday.
See you guys on Wednesday, of course.
What time Wednesday?
Trey, you said 4, right? That's the time we agreed on.
Mary, what time is 4 our time?
At 8 hours.
It's like midnight, right?
No, we did not say 4. I did not say 4. I said
it's gonna be 10 p.m. for us.
Then I say
you say 4 p.m.
4 p.m. your time is 10 p.m. our time.
We do 3.
3, 2.
Yeah. Well, I should say no. She can't do 3.
You do 30.
We said 4 p.m. I remember saying 4 p.m.
All right, it's just 10 o'clock,
Yeah, you and I agreed on 4 p.m.
All right,
Sorry, 12 midnight. Wow. Sorry, 12 midnight.
Yeah, that's what's 8 hours. That's midnight.
So 4 o'clock there are midnight.
I mean, I can do 3. That's fine. I just
Yeah,
you have to tell everyone else, or send out an email or something.
Oh, we got the WhatsApp, you know.
My takeaway to leave as a closing statement is from the movie where the man mentions there's leavers and takers. Let us be takers. Let us be the society drivers of like ending white supremacy and then bringing forward the equal justice that we need to see in the world. Yeah, let's be takers.
For real, gotta be. Ain't that many other options left, huh?
Yeah, I'm not leaving, so.
Yeah, if you ain't gonna leave, you gotta do something different, for sure. Well, I think that's it. I believe. I don't know. Any closing remarks, Ezekiel?
Well, lastly, I'd just like to say the movie was a good watch. Like I said, I hated watching all that death, but it puts things into perspective. Like Trey was saying, you got be aware. I think it's important to remember that people are capable of this stuff, so you need to act and move accordingly.
Yeah, minimize contact. Minimize contact. If you don't need to go outside, why go outside? You know, you don't need to So just
Man, what a fucking life, man.
Hey,
that movie was extremely disturbing. To be honest, like I want to forget that I saw that shit, but I do understand that it's important to realize. But that shit was still very difficult to watch. It made me very disturbed. Like, I can't believe, and I know that things like that have occurred, will occur, and continue to occur currently, and it's a lot. It's a lot to even process. That somebody would even have the thought process to do some shit like that. So I don't know, man. I feel like I need more time to sit and like I feel like this discussion, although it was insightful, is still not enough for me to fully understand like the violence that I witnessed. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I had a firsthand I feel like I was there with that motherfucker, like watching him do this shit, and I was like, man, I don't want to be here. Like I don't want to have to fucking be a part of this shit. Like it's super weird, man. Like it was too violent. Like, but I understand that it was necessary though, like to view, so we can have, context, I guess.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So we out or what? Oh, Ash. Oh, you. Oh, no. That's it.
Bye. All right. Yeah. All right. Toodles, everyone. See you. See you
later.
See you Wednesday, y'all. Peace.
Come Renegad.
Stay blessed, people.
Stay safe out there.
Take good notes, yo.
Yeah, for real. Come with the knowledge sharing energy for Wednesday.
All right, so y'all be safe, man. Have a good day. Y'all be safe.
Peace.
Have a good night. Whatever. Peace.